monitored exercise. It was a joint effort by the ministries of ICT, Education and Interior, which had to provide the necessary logistics to make this particular Kcpe of the test. There were challenges in regards to logistics. I know, and everyone knows that, several counties, and especially those ones in North Kenya, Marsabit, Turkana, Isiolo, and the likes of Mandera County, at some point there was, heavy downpour, and the organizers there had to use alternative means of transport just to ensure that each and every candidate of the 1.4 million got to sit for these particular papers. We also know that there were questions in regards to integrity, but this particular examination has been given a very high score rate by the CS Education, because they said that they only managed to identify 6 cases of attempted cheating, not even cheating, but he said attempted cheating, and that this is commendable for all those who undertook this particular preparation and in fact the execution itself by the relevant authorities, because he stated that this is, this shows improvement of, integrity when it comes to national examinations as compared to the previous exams. Like I told you, Safin, we are expecting the CS to make his way here at the podium any moment from now. What we know is that the CS arrived at this particular premise a few minutes after 8 a.m. What is ongoing right now, he's being briefed, and he's also briefing some of his juniors on what he was able to share with the president. Remember that as per the tradition, before these particular exams are actually announced on national television or briefed, and so that particular session, we are told by reliable sources, took p.m. at State House, Nairobi, giving the green light for this particular event to happen today. And in fact, it is after that particular briefing yesterday when now the notification was sent to media houses that this particular announcement will be made today. It is also very historic, Safin, because according to stakeholders in the Education Ministry, they say that, in terms of time lapses from the last exam paper that was sat on 1st November to today, being the 23rd, that this is actually one of the shortest duration ever marked in terms of when the last paper is being sat and now when the exam is being announced. It is actually the shortest duration. So it is historic, Safin, 38 years of the Kcpe exam, and those who actually sat for the very first inaugural paper in 1985. It is very significant for them, and we will be also just finding some of their experiences in regards to how effective the Kcpe exam was, and how what impact it had on them even going forward. What we also know, Safin, is that even as I wind up this particular link, because we know that any moment from now, I will be told that the CS is coming, that according to last year's results, we know the highest scorers were 431 out of 500 marks. We don't know yet the outcome of these particular exams this year, but for the 1.4 candidates who sat for this particular paper, we can only wish them well, and we only hope that it will be an improvement, if not a sustainability of the previous exams and papers. And so right now, I just have to hand you back to you, Safin Achieng, who's an expert in this field, to take it forward, because any moment from now, like I said, we have the CS, the PS Basic Education, Bello Kipsang, coming here, and of course the CEO for NEC just coming here to announce this particular result. Safin, do you know of any candidates, could be your niece, your nephew, even your brother, your siblings who sat for this exam, because I have a niece who, of course, I wish her well, and any of the 1.4 million candidates, I wish them well. Safin,
all right, thank you so much. A lot indeed. I do have a lot of people that I celebrate, and thank you. And we also wish well your niece, Seth Olale. They are reporting to us from the NEC headquarters right here in Nairobi. We really appreciate you for that very comprehensive, update for what is expected to happen at that particular venue. As to whether I'm an expert, that is neither here nor there, but thank you, Seth. We really appreciate you for that. Just sat there painting a picture of how the morning is already looking like. Quite an array of activities for the officials from the education ministries, telling us that it began yesterday in a brief by President William Ruto. And of course, the CS, Ezekiel Mashogu, yesterday having that particular meeting to just brief, the head of state on the results and how they look like this particular year. And of course, after that meeting yesterday at State House, the CS is expected to make his way any minute from now to the NEC headquarters at South Sea right here in Nairobi. Already the event is picking up. We've seen there officials in the education ministry, stakeholders from different sectors, head teachers, and of course those who are senior in this particular process, just having already settled, waiting for the CS to make his way to that particular venue. And one of the things that Seth mentioned there is that this is actually a very historic moment for those who have been sitting these exams for over almost 38 years, and also those who have actually sat for those exams in this year. They are going to go down history as the last cohort, and it will be quite a significant moment as we look at the lessons learned under the 844 system and face it out and get into the competency-based curriculum. Of course, we expect a lot that the CS is going to be speaking about with regards to the performance, and talking to us there earlier, saying that the highest, candidate last year managed to get 431 marks. So we want to begin this very important conversation just to dissect this whole process. And I want us to, speak to Samuel Otieno. He's joining us virtually. Samuel Otieno is the Director of Advocacy and Partnerships at Zizi Afrique Foundation, a foundation that actually just focuses on improving the lives of children and looking at learning outcomes. And thank you so much, Otieno, for creating time for us this morning. Just a lot that we're expecting to happen this particular morning. I just want to begin this conversation by weighing in on your expectations, coming from a point of view of somebody who's very passionate about the welfare of children when it comes to matters education. What do you expect, Otieno?
Thank you very much, Safin, for having me. I first want to begin really by, congratulating the 1.4 million candidates who sat the Kcpe examinations this year, and of course wish them well in the next stages of their education, because as you recognize, for the last 38 years, Kcpe marks a very important milestone in the learning journey of people, and there are many Kenyans, including myself, who have gone through this particular process. I work at Zizi Afrique Foundation, and we are very much interested on issues to do with foundational learning and foundational, numeracy and literacy. And particularly our concern is always that even as we have these national level examinations, our concern and our, mission and vision is always that we hope that the candidates who sat the examination have got the requisite, have been able to, develop the requisite competencies for this particular level. And this being a very special Kcpe, for example, because it's the last Kcpe after 38 years, like Seth very well, elaborated. I think one of the most fundamental things is that the candidates for this year do not have many options in terms of, in the past there have been cases of people repeating, the standard 8 level, but for this year, they don't seem to have that option. And so for us, my expectation is that the candidates who sat the examination this year will definitely be able to all transition to the next level, because transition, again, is one of those things that we are very keen about, so that we ensure that there is progression in terms of the acquisition of the right competencies, but also in our education system. Of course, we know we are moving from our old system into the CBC, but we hope that this being the final cohort of KCP, it is our desire and it is my expectation that the government has laid ground to ensure 100% transition to secondary school, but also just to look at it and see what the fact that there are only 6 cases, suspected cases of cheating, how this then impacts the achievement of learners, and hoping to see the learners that emerged, of course, strongly, but also what the government has put in place to ensure 100% transition, because one of the barriers of 100% transition has always been the costs associated with schooling. And as you'll be aware, there are economic challenges at the moment, and I'll be expecting very highly that the CS for Education will be able to give some policy directions that will be able to support access and transition to secondary education. Thank you, Safin.
Just said, talking about the transition and hoping that it would be 100%. Of course, government has been trying to ensure that every learner, regardless of what they score in the national examinations, get a chance to school. But there has been quite a number of challenges that the country has experienced, because that 100% transition has remained a dream, but the government has been doing a lot. And we'll be talking about some of the things that have actually acted like bottlenecks to that particular transition process by the government. But I just want to understand from you, Otieno, as we get from the 844 system and we now, get into the CBC, system. Of course, we have been implementing this for quite a number of years in our country. What do you think about this new opportunity that, this transition is presenting for us? How significant is this moment for us as a country to have this as the last cohort sitting for the Kcpe examinations?
Thank you, Safin. I think it's a very important moment and a very historical moment, for that matter, for our country. And particularly, this being the last cohort, it signifies the total move towards, the CBC curriculum, which is more about, harnessing the potential and the competences of children within the school system. Safin, as a stakeholder in the education sector, one of the things that we have always been very much, against has been, for example, the issue of ranking children. Because again, you recognize that in this particular system, what you score at Kcpe determines which school you go to at secondary level. And we also have, there is a lot of evidence to indicate that sometimes even the secondary school you go to automatically determines, how you perform and the careers that you take. But the reason I think this is very significant is that it is clearing, the last system from the primary school level, but also now hopefully provides an opportunity for us to holistically focus on the implementation of CBC. And CBC, the way it has been designed, of course, there have been challenges around the implementation, but the way it was designed, it was basically designed in such a way that it provides an opportunity for every child to be able to excel in what they're good at. So rather than what we used to call the content-based, curriculum, where you need, you have to learn, be in school, learn, and then during the national examinations, be able to maybe express or replicate what you've learned. So the idea under CBC is that we have important things that are coming in, and which, as an organization, we are very passionate about. Issues of values and life skills, for example, so that you're not just teaching children to be literate and numerate, but you're also making sure that as they go through the system, they are acquiring some competencies and abilities that will be able to help them not just to live in the modern world, but also to thrive. And CBC actually is designed to provide these pathways. And hopefully we know now the CBC is at the, is at the junior school level, what now we are calling the junior school. But at the senior school level, we expect that the government would have laid the foundation to ensure that there'll be very clear pathways on if this is a science-oriented student, what we call STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or if this child or student is a humanities student, or if this is a student who is going to go to the talent, side of things, because you will be aware that there are people who might not necessarily have excelled in school, but they're very good because of the talents they have. Either they are footballer, an athlete, or something else. And so for us, it's a momentous time as a nation. And my hope and desire is that these last cohorts and the results that we are about to listen to from the CS would rally the country towards reimagining what our education system should be able to provide to our children, and in particular in view of the 21st century and beyond.
All right.
In particularly looking at how we become competitive, as global citizens.
All right. Otieno, you've talked about, what learning should be able to do for our children. And I'll speak to you as somebody who leads a network of over 80 organizations that are working to just improve the learning outcomes in the entire region of East Africa. The Kenya country lead for the Regional Education and Learning Initiative, really. If you look at the 38 years that we have been under the 844 system and looking at us now, fully going into this competency-based curriculum, what would you say are some of the lessons that we have learned that would help us, build better when it comes to achieving the better outcomes in learning for our learners? What is it that we go with?
Thank you, Sabine. So, I know my friends watching this and those who are particularly my age mates would kill me when I say that I'm very happy for the transition that we are having to CBC, because I'm also one of those people who went through the Kcpe. But I think as a nation we've been able to come from very far. If you recall, the whole idea around the 844 system was education for self-reliance, and it was envisaged that anybody who had gone through the system would be able to have some requisite skills. But a lot of the time, those were technical skills to be able to either have a trade or to have a skill that would help them earn an income. And of course, down the line at some level when there was a decision that some subjects like home science, maybe, art and craft, music, were not going to be examinable, then a lot of interest was lost in these subjects. Yet, in my view, they're very, important in terms of building a society that we have. And so what CBC has done, in my view, is to more strongly and more explicitly, present these different skill sets and technical abilities as part of those things that we need in our society. And I know there's a lot of research that happened around the conceptualization of CBC. But for me, and over the last 38 years, to just